science of happiness, known as Yoga Sutras. So the Yoga Sutras is for really serious students in spirituality. If I may say, since it is the science of happiness, I would call it is for soldiers of happiness, who are really serious about finding the source of happiness. And so that makes us very serious people. What are we serious about? We are serious about not being serious. Okay. So I, in the initial discussion itself, I was very happy to see that everybody's having fun and kicking everybody around. So actually that is the main uh, point of life, if I may say so, to live a happy, simple, and fun life. So yoga is for fun, if I may say. So, as we have been discussing from the initial classes onwards, there are several words that are thrown around without much understanding, such as uh, what is the source of happiness. They say it is self-realization or atma and all that. So I'm not sure if all of the people who use them understand what they mean by self and the realization and all that. So today we are going to deal with the Kaivalya Pada, which is the final flowering of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra and the yogic vision. So we will seriously be inquiring into what is that people are talking about when they say self and realization and all that. So you yourself told me in the initial discussions that realization is what we want, isn't it? So what do you mean by this realization? So if you analyze it, it is recognizing something that is already there, isn't it? That is what you realize. I realized that I should have done that. What do you mean by that? That something is there and you just recognize it, isn't it? In the same way, when we talk about the happiness that we are seeking, the word used in spirituality is realization. So that means the happiness that you're seeking, it is sitting there and you are just not paying attention to it. So it is actually a something that is real, like the table or the chair or the car. That is that understanding we must have. Why do I say that? Because right now, for us, happiness is just a passing mood, isn't it? On some days we are happy, or when we are making fun of others we are happy, something like that. It's just a mood of the mind. So that is a very basic understanding. What we are trying to find out is a real solid happiness. Okay. So it is vastu tantram, if I may use the Sanskrit word. Vastu tantram means something which is really there, not just a funny idea that we use words to describe. Okay. And as we have been seeing, I told you that the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the first five sutras actually briefly discuss everything that is to be discussed. All the others are details, isn't it? So the first five sutras, I hope all of you know by now. Okay. So Patanjali, what did he say? He said, I am going to explain the science of happiness. Atha yoga anushasanam. Then what did he say? Hmm.
योगश्चित्तवृत्तिनिरोधः.
Very good. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. So what I want is happiness. And right now, what is the problem? I'm not able to experience it because the mind needs some training to find it, isn't it? So chitta vritti nirodha, disciplining of the mind is necessary. And so, okay, but how do you know that happiness is sitting there? How do you know that? Because he says, so when you discipline the mind, tada drashtuhu
द्रष्टुस्
Swarupe avasthanam, isn't it? So this word Swarupa is a very important word that I'm not sure if we discussed enough on it in our initial sessions. But since it is the central theme of the Kaivalya Pada, I would like to bring your kind attention to that once again. You see, when we say Swarupa, so remember that happiness is what Patanjali, or we all are seeking. And Patanjali says it is your Swarupa. Swarupa means your real nature. Okay. So when I say real nature, that itself is a very revelatory understanding, because for us happiness is something sitting there, it's like dust sitting on our hand. You cannot, it's something other than us. So that idea is what Patanjali is negating. It is your own real nature. You are happiness. Hmm, that is a little difficult to understand. So this word Swarupa, I would like to expound a little bit. So in Sanskrit, Swarupa means you who really are, isn't it? So there are two ways to understand this. One, I can say what Swarupa is and what Swarupa is not. Okay. So if I want to show you this water bottle, I can say that there is an object in my hand or near me. It is not the book, it is not the table, it is not the laptop. All these things I can say. When I negate everything else, the only thing remaining is the bottle. So you understand that, oh, the bottle is what I mean. So that is one way of looking at it. That is called Tatastha Lakshanam, if I may use the word. That is saying whatever it is not. So you will understand it. In as our Guruji used to say, in North India, in some villages, there used to be these Maoist camps and all that, terrorist people. So, and they will be married to the local women there. Okay. So sometimes when they arrest the Maoist person, and all the ladies in the village, they uh, gather together and they ask them, the police people ask them, is this your husband? No. Is this your husband? No. Is this your husband? No. As you know, in our traditional Indian culture, the women have a lot of respect for their husband, isn't it? They don't call them by their name and all that. So when the policeman finally comes to the right person, is this your husband? The lady just keeps quiet. So the policeman know that this is the husband. In the same way, we are going to see this Swarupa as, I will tell you whatever Swarupa is not, then you will understand what is Swarupa. Okay. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. So Swarupa, as you know, is your real nature. Like heat is the real nature of fire, isn't it? So without heat, there is no fire. Have you seen a cold fire? No. Heat is the fundamental nature of fire. In the same way, moisture is the fundamental nature of water, isn't it? If you touch it, you become wet, isn't it? So moisture is the fundamental nature of water. In the same way, happiness is your fundamental nature. That is what Patanjali is saying. So that is why in all our inquiry, we are trying to find happiness, isn't it? We cannot live without it. That is fundamental to us. All the study and Yoga Sutra and certificate and training and all that, it's all for our happiness, isn't it? So happiness is something very fundamental to us. Okay. I hope that is why we call it Swarupa. Okay. So as I was saying, I will also tell you what Swarupa is not. Tatastha Lakshanam, I will tell you. What are they? I can say four things that are not Swarupa. What is that? Happiness, the first thing, happiness is not a product. Okay. I cannot uh, make happiness. Okay. It is not a product. It's not utpadyam. Utpadyam means you put some dal and vegetables and you make sambar, isn't it? So sambar is a product. So you cannot put things together and make happiness, isn't it? So it is not a product. It is not utpadyam. So uh, what else is there? Second, happiness is not a product of undergoing any process of purification. Samskaryam. It is not a samskaram. You cannot purify something and make happiness out of it. Right now, these are all the funny ideas that we have in spirituality. I have to purify myself and then I may become enlightened or spiritual or whatever it is. So Patanjali says purification is also a funny idea that we don't understand. Keep it aside. So your Swarupam cannot be purified also. Okay. So it is like purifying boiling water and making it purified. No. So what I'm trying to say is all these processes that we are undergoing, they are all not directly related to your happiness. Your happiness is something that you already have. Okay. So it is not a product. It is not utpadyam. It is not a product of purification. It is not samskaryam. Also, the third thing is it is not a modification. That is, when you if you want curd, you have to curdle it, and milk becomes curd, isn't it? And so it is not a modification of something. So if you cannot modify something to make happiness, okay, because it is swarupam. So whatever you have tried to modify about yourself, those are not going to give you happiness. So happiness is something different. Okay, so this is the third thing. It is not a vikaryam, it is not a modification. Also, the fourth one is it is not a destination, it is not a apyam. That is, happiness you cannot reach. You cannot take a 10 rupee ticket and go to happiness, isn't it? So all whatever processes that we see in spirituality, they are all negated. Not a product, not a purified thing, not a modification, and not a destination also. None of these things are going to give you happiness, he says. So what is left? What is left is me, isn't it? All these processes you negated. So what is left is I, who tried to undergo those processes. So that uh, fundamental you, that unique and beautiful person that you are, that is your source of happiness, he says. Okay, I hope some sense it made to you, because what Patanjali is trying to do is he's trying to push you into happiness. Okay, so right now when you want to teach little children how to swim, you just in some swimming schools they throw the baby into the water, isn't it? And baby will automatically figure it out. In the same way, all your processes Patanjali is negating, so that aha, you directly fall into happiness. Okay. Okay, so Swarupam is your real nature. That is who you are. Okay, so you cannot borrow it. You cannot. Nobody can give it to you. You are that source of happiness. That is what Patanjali is trying to say. So, in that way, when you think, all your yogic processes are negated, and so if it is your real nature, whatever you do to reach it is actually taking you away from it, isn't it? So for example, if you are sitting in this room and you say that I want to reach this room, and you start walking, you are actually going away from the room, isn't it? Like a drunk man, drunk man, when he is not in his senses, he says, "Yeah, somebody please take me home." You already took him home, and he's sitting in his living room and saying, "Please, somebody take me home." So what do you do with such a person? You give one on the face, isn't it? And tell them this is the room. In the same way, Patanjali is trying to say that all these processes are useless, because happiness is what you are seeking, and that you already are, he says. Okay. So that is why Patanjali is always trying to make us relax, isn't it? All the processes that you tried, pranayama, meditation, everything. What is the culmination of that? Patanjali says it has to become autopilot, isn't it? You have to completely relax, then you will get the new insight. That is what Patanjali said in all the processes, isn't it? I hope you agree with me. Whether it is pranayama or pratyahara, everywhere, when you relax, you see it, isn't it? So finally the core idea is relax. Chitta vritti nirodha. That means you relax, chill out, and you will figure it out, isn't it? So that is what, when you are fully relaxed, you become, not even become, you find out that you are Atma. Okay, I hope that makes sense to. That is what Patanjali meant by Swarupam. It is already there with you. I see a lot of confused faces here and there. I hope that made some sense to you. Okay, so because Patanjali wants to push you into that real core idea of it. Forget all the other things, he says. Just be relaxed and you can see it, he says. Okay, so this idea called Atma is the fundamental idea of all spirituality, isn't it? Whether it is Vedanta or Patanjali or whatever it is, you have to find who you are. Atma is the term that they use for your source of happiness, isn't it? In the second chapter, we saw what is the problem, avidya and all that. So what is the solution? You have to know who you are. And what is Patanjali say about who you are? What is the definition of who you are? Huh. Can anybody say what is the definition of avidya? Can you tell me? Hmm? You can check the book and tell me. don't have to by heart it. Nitya Shuchi Sukha Atma, he said, isn't it? Uh, isn't it? So, but that is the definition of Atma that Patanjali is giving you. Swarupa Lakshanam, direct explanation. All this is all that I said now is Tadastha Lakshanam, indirect explanation. So, in the second chapter, you find the direct explanation. Swarupa Lakshanam of Atma. What did he say? Nitya. Atma is changeless in all your experiences. When you were a little baby and you went to first day, you went to LKG and then you went to college, all that you underwent. But your fundamental experience of who you are, you refer to yourself as I, isn't it? That meaning of I is called Atma, isn't it? So that there is something that is changeless in you, which doesn't change even if the body and mind and all change. So that fundamental you is called Atma, Nitya. It is permanent. And also it is Shuchi, ever pure. You may have some bad thoughts or bad experiences, but you are the one who is seeing that, isn't it? Usually we mix with that bad feelings and emotions and get miserable, isn't it? But Patanjali is trying to kick you away from that. He says, all those thoughts, who is seeing that thought? Swamiji, I have a very dirty mind, somebody said. Okay, very good. How do you know? Because I see my mind is very dirty. Okay, so how do you how do you know that? I see it. So you like you see the pen and the paper. Yes. So the object that you see is always different from you, isn't it? So whatever defect that the body or the mind has, that doesn't affect you. So that is a very subtle vision that you have to have. Okay, so he's a Shuchi, he's ever pure. Whatever defect you have, I'm Swamiji, I am fat, I am tall, I am bald, I have too much hair, I have my mind is not functioning properly, I am confused, I am rejected, I am miserable. All these things the mind is saying, isn't it? And you are the seer of the mind. You are ever pure, Shuchi. And all those people who you think are dear to you, they are dear to you because of you, isn't it? So you are the dearest, most lovable, blissful, that little ball of happiness in your life, isn't it? The central character of your life. So that is what whenever I discuss Patanjali Yoga Sutra, I tell people I would like. That's why I don't like these online classes. I'd like to look people in the eye and say that you are that adorable, lovable bundle of bliss that everybody is seeking. So he says, Sukha. He is the Atma, or you are the source of all that love and happiness. So Sukha. And also, you are aware of everything, isn't it? Atma, you are conscious of everything. So you are that thing, whatever it is, as Buddha said, whatever it is the source of all your happiness and strength and all that you are. That is why it is called a Swarupa. Swarupa means it is not different from you. You are that. You please meditate on that, reflect on it. And okay, Swamiji, you said some funny words. I tolerated you till now, but what does all these words, Nitya, Shuchi, Sukha, does it have any correlation with my daily life? If these are just words and they have no relation with your daily life, then it doesn't mean anything, isn't it? See, so what Patanjali says as Atma or Kaivalya, can it be utilized in my daily life? It can be utilized. How? I'll tell you. I'll tell you a story. I'm going a very slow because I want you to grasp this idea. Okay. The story goes like this: that there was a boy, a young boy, who finished his college, and his uncle was in a very high position in the Middle East, let us say abroad. And the uncle said, "Beta, I need somebody to run my company. So as soon as you finish your degree, you please come to me. Take the visa and come to me. The job is ready for you. I want you to take responsibility." I hope you're listening. Okay, you sometimes you can nod just to ah, okay, very good. So uncle said, you as soon as you finish your degree, you come here. So the boy finished his degree, and as you must know, after college, some 2 3 months vacation is there till you decide what to do next or the result comes and all that. So this boy, he was just browsing through the newspaper, and he saw that some interviews are going on near his house. Job selection interviews are going on. So he thought, anyway, I have nothing to do but eat and sleep, so let me just go and see what is happening there. Anyway, I have my job, so just to experience what an interview is like, let me go there. So he just took his certificates and he went there. So when he went there, 500 people are standing in the queue, and uh, everybody is looking very anxious. That so he talked to a few people. What are you up to? He says, this is my 30th interview. I have not been selected. I somehow need to get this job. You please go away. I am studying. So everybody's studying their college projects and study all the viva questions. They are practicing again. All that nonsense is going on. So this boy is sitting here because he doesn't care, isn't it? He just here for the experience of it. So he's just sitting there, and he met some people. So this one of his neighbors, he went inside, and these interviewing people are always rascals. They sit with as if the whole weight of the world is sitting on their shoulder. Full seriousness, they are sitting there, and interview gave a hard stare, and sit down, he said. And this boy collapsed onto the seat. This not our main boy, his neighbor, his friend. He went there, and he's shaking, because this is his 30th interview. He has never cleared anything. So he gave his certificates, and the interviewer took it and read it, and silence, utter silence, very awkward situation. So he doesn't know what to do, and interviewer is not saying anything. He's very scared, and interviewer immediately, after a long pause, he shouted, "How old are you?" He said. So this boy thought the first thing that he may ask is the name. So when the interviewer asked, "How old are you?" he said, "Balasubramanian." So because he's so tense, so he cannot handle the situation. So interviewer already understood what kind of boy this is. And then here another long pause, another awkward situation. And then he said, "What is your name?" He said, 25. So he's so scared and awkward that he's unable to handle the situation, isn't it? So interviewer said, "We'll call you, please get out." And this boy went out, and two, three boys faced the situation like this. They all messed up their interviews. Finally, our hero of the story, he went inside. He handed over the certificates, and he sat down. And the interviewer was going through the same thing. These people, they may not know anything, but they have to harass you a little throughout the interviews. So he asked, "What is your name?" He said, and the boy said, "My dear sir, my name, my date of birth, everything is there in the certificate. If you want, just read it. Don't waste my time. If you Let's talk business," he said. So interviewer was surprised. In first time in his life, somebody is cross questioning him. He said, uh, "What did you study for your project and all that?" He said, "How much are you going to pay me? Don't waste my time. It's all there in the certificate. If you know how to read it, read it. How much are you going to pay me?" He said. Interviewer said, "My dear boy, you are selected." Okay. So the boy, how did he get so much confidence? That is my question to you. How did he get it? Can anybody of you answer?
Believed in himself.
What is that?
His confidence,
How did he have that confidence?
He believes that he can get it. He believed in himself.
because he had an
Then
alternative
okay, why did
option.
he even believe in himself? All the other children also could have believed in themselves.
Because
Yeah,
he had.
He had an
Because he
alternative
already had a
option.
job, isn't it? His uncle is already accepted him. He just has to waste 2 months and just go to abroad, isn't it? So he already has a job. That is the key point, isn't it? So in the same way, when you know that your goal is already achieved, then the world is a play for you, isn't it? So in the same way, Patanjali, what he's trying to say when he says Swarupa is that your goal is already achieved. Stop worrying. Drink some coffee and relax, he says. So that is what Patanjali is trying to make you through all this discussion on Swarupa. Swarupa means you already are that. Nobody can take it from you. So even if you fail your yoga examination, you're already achieved. Okay. So if you can smile, that is what I said in the first class. If you smile, I will give you the certificate. Prasadji may not give you the certificate, but I will give you the certificate. Okay. So that is the key point. If you relax and smile, then that means your mind is relaxed, then you have access to your Swarupa. Your inner powers are already available to you. I hope you got the message of what I'm trying to say through all this complicated explanation. Okay, so your freedom is already with you. That is what is meant by Swarupam. Okay, so when I say Kaivalyam or freedom, it is the freedom that you already have, not the freedom that you will get by standing on the tip of your nose. Okay, so what is the correlation of this idea with my life? You see, whatever we do, our life is a series of actions, isn't it? You wake up in the morning, drink coffee, take a bath if you have that habit, and then come to the class and all that, isn't it? So a life is a series of actions, isn't it? So what are all these actions? Actions have some intention behind it, isn't it? If you take a bath, that means other people need not be offended by your presence, isn't it? At least for that, some intention is there behind every action, isn't it? So action is there. So what is controlling the action? Some intention is there, isn't it? So some intention. What is the source of that intention? You have some image about it. Self image is there, isn't it? So your self image controls your intention, and your intention is controls your action. I hope that makes sense to you. So that self image is what Patanjali is trying to clarify to you, isn't it? So when your self image is that I am this body, I am mind, I need a yoga certificate, I need a boyfriend, girlfriend, and otherwise I am miserable, all these ideas, when, so that defines your self image. So when your self image is a miserable self image, your actions, your thoughts will be like that. I need this, I need that. Or, and when your thoughts are like that, your actions will be like that. And when your actions are like that, your habits will be like that. Your samskaras will be like that, because your habits are made up of individual actions, isn't it? So when your habit is like that, ultimately your destiny will also be like that, isn't it? So this self image determines your thoughts, your actions, your intentions, and finally your habits and your destiny. So that is where Patanjali is breaking the cycle and telling you that you are nitya, permanent, shuchi, pure, sukha, blissful, that bundle of bliss, and you are conscious, you are aware and away from all this. So you are a truly free person. That is what I'm trying to tell you from the first class itself. You are already liberated. You don't need any liberation, self-realization, nothing. You are already liberated. I hope that idea appeals to you. That is what Patanjali is trying to say when he says Swarupam. He didn't say stand on your nose and then you will become liberated. No, he said you Swarupam, isn't it? So that is a very fundamental idea. So now it is time to break up with your suffering, isn't it? You have to say I that funny that advertisement is there, that fast track sunglasses advertisement. I hope you have seen long time ago. You know, two boyfriend and girlfriend, they come together and they exchange whatever they have given as gifts to each other, and they break up, and the catchphrase is move on, man. Isn't it? Fast track, I hope you know that the catchphrase is move on. So in the same way, Patanjali is saying move on. You have to break up with your suffering. He says that you have to call your suffering and say, darling, we have had some good times, and it's been, we have shared a lot of adventures together. Now it's somebody else is there. I am breaking up with you, thank you. And you have to break up with your suffering, isn't it? I'm using a familiar language so that you understand. And you have to exchange all the gifts that you have given to each other, isn't it? What have you given? All your bad habits, all your memories, all your old traumas and psychological fears, that you give back. I don't want that. You please take it. And you have to give me whatever that I want also. You have to give me my freedom, my dignity, my self-respect, all that you have to give me. So like that, you have to break up with your suffering. Okay. So that is what Patanjali is trying to make you do. So what is the practical explanation of Kaivalya? Is that your self-image is a image of Atma, that you are Atma, you are perfect, and you don't need anything to define you or defile you. You're pure and you are relaxed. So you can, accordingly, you can, like that boy who faced the interview, you can happily manage the world and not for happiness. Now, right now, we are handling the world for happiness, isn't it? We are telling people, happy birthday, I love you, and all that, although we don't mean it, isn't it? And because why do you say that? Because otherwise he will not tell, he or she will not tell me, isn't it? So we are begging in front of the world for some happiness. That we are stopping from today. And Patanjali says Kaivalyam, freedom is that your Swarupam, and happily interact with the world, not for happiness. I hope that makes sense to you. Reflect on it. All your interactions, whether you are doing it for happiness or happily as a celebration, are you doing it? So the point is, it is Swarupam, it is already achieved, and live happily. That is the main idea of it. Okay, with this introduction to Kaivalya Pada, let us move into the uh, sutra. And okay, and one more important thing. How do I know? Just a second. My laptop was also, getting liberated. So, okay, okay. So sorry for that. Okay, so what is the test that that I'm liberated? How do I know that I'm liberated? When we are swamis, I'm confessing to you. So when we are swamis, the secret, don't let it out of the classroom. And people come to us with all kind of problems. Okay, oh, you're already smiling to receive all the secrets, isn't it? Okay, so some people come and confess to us, and they say all kinds of their problems. One of my friends said, Swamiji, I have a problem. What is that? Whenever I see beautiful young girls, I feel like whistling. So he says, okay, so I'm trying to control it somehow. Okay, so and now I think I am free from it, that bad habit, Samaji. How do you know that? So when will you find out? The next time you walk in the road and you see a pretty girl, then only we can find out, isn't it? Whether you are really controlled it or not, isn't it? In the same way, how do I know if I'm liberated? For that, the world is necessary, isn't it? You have to be challenged by the world, and then you can figure out whether you are really a happy person and you can happily interact with the world, isn't it? So this is a deviation that we are taking from the traditional interpretation of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. That is something I have mentioned before also. In the traditional view, the world is a problem and you have to get away from it. It is all Prakriti and Purusha mixing together is the problem. So you have to get away from it, and you have to go to some Himalayan cave and meditate there and fast and to become a skin and bones. And then if you meditate, somehow you may realize, because the process is there. I told you, Swarupam it is not your Swarupam. You have to undergo a process and become liberated. Then you will finally, what is the end? You will, in the Himalayas, you will die alone, hungry, thirsty, and you will die there. And you may become liberated, he says. So that is the traditional yogis interpretation of Patanjali Yoga. You have seen all those aghoris and all those swamis, bhasma and running around naked and skin and bones, isn't it? So that is the traditional interpretation of yoga. That is, you have to run away from the world and do some sadhana to become liberated. So as long as we don't compromise the idea of kaivalya, as long as happiness is ensured, we have the freedom to interpret the shastras, isn't it? That is what Patanjali did. This idea of yoga was there in the Vedas, but he reinterpreted it, and that is what Krishna did to the Bhagavad Gita. That is what Vyasa did, uh, and that is what you all, as yoga teachers, will be doing. This idea of freedom that you have to inculcate, and keeping that, you have the freedom to interpret it in whatever way you want. You can interpret it through dance. You can interpret it through some other poetry, whatever way you want, you can interpret. But Kaivalya, you should not forget. That is the main goal, and it is already uh, achieved. You are already free people. Okay. I hope that makes sense to you. So for that, for testing your freedom, the world is necessary. Without the world, how will you know whether you are liberated? Isn't somebody has to poke a funny face to you? Then only you see whether you are getting angry or not, isn't it? So the world is a opportunity for you to test your own spiritual depth. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. So it is a deviation from the traditional interpretation of yoga. So tomorrow, when Prasadji arranges a class, some other Swamiji may come and he may interpret you. Hi, who taught you all this nonsense? So you will say that some Bald Swami was there and he told all this nonsense. And so you must not misunderstand me, isn't it? The traditional meaning is that you have to stay away from the world, extricate yourself from Prakriti. But no, that the final end value of what that interpretation is, you will die as a miserable lonely person in the Himalayas without getting oxygen, food, and all that. So that we don't want. We want to celebrate our happiness, isn't it? So you have to experience happiness in the world happily. And what that can you do that? Because yeah, of course, because happiness is my swarupam. It is already achieved. You already got the job. Okay, now only you have to party. Okay, that is the interpretation that my guru and I am trying to give to Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Okay, so enough about the now let us get into the sutras. Okay, so we are entering the final chapter of the Kaivalya Pada. I hope it sounds interesting to you. Okay, and so Patanjali Yoga Sutra, in the third chapter, in the first chapter, he mentioned all this in a concise form. Then he discussed the full details in the second chapter as to why my meditation is not working, because my external behavior is all nonsense. So you have to follow some values like eating right, non-violence, and all that, ahimsa, satya, asteya, and all that. So your mind is calm, and when you meditate and follow the 8 limbs, Ashtanga Yoga, what are the 8 limbs of yoga? Oh, anyone? Oh.
Yama, niyama,
Yama,
asana.
niyama and all that. That's okay. Okay, so when you practice all that, your external life is also balanced. So your internal life is automatically balanced, and you meditate and you realize, okay, whatever it is, realizing or whatever it is. So that is the second chapter. So when you try to live the spiritual values, certain temptations will come. You will excel in your work. You will become successful at your job. So everybody will congratulate you, and then you may go for a couple of drinks and you start doing yoga and you become fat again. So that it should not happen. So Patanjali says vibhutis or these excellence in the material world, don't get tempted by it. Follow your happiness, true happiness. Okay, so the external distraction should not distract you. That was what the central idea we saw in the Vibhuti Pada. And now we come to the Kaivalya Pada. Okay, so yeah, in the last class, somebody asked, Swamiji, how do you get superpowers? Somebody asked, I think so. And so I think Patanjali's class also, somebody asked that question. So Patanjali says, okay, sit down, I will explain to you. So a little bit more explanation about superpowers is there in the beginning of the chapter. So let us quickly read the Yoga Sutras quickly and then go into the each sutra if possible. Okay, so Adha Chadurthapadah Kaivalyapadah. If one of you can read with me, that would be wonderful. Om Janma. Anybody?
Okay. Om Janma
Aushadhi
Aushadhi
Mantra
Mantra
Tapa
Tapa
Samadhijaha
Samadhijaha
Siddhayaha.
Siddhayaha.
Certain letters you have to pronounce very clearly. When you say Siddhaya, some spit has to fall out onto your neighbor's face. Okay, so that is called Mahaprana sounds. You have to say it in a very strong way so that the next person feels offended. So you have to say it like that. So pronunciation will correct in if Prasadji allows. I wish to spend some time with you for pronouncing the Yoga Sutras clearly also. So right now, as far as possible, try to pronounce it the way I am saying it,
Okay.
and we'll see it later. Okay.
Yeah.
Jatyantara
Jatyantara
Parinamaha
Parinamaha
Prakritya
Prakritya
Purat
Purat
Nimittam
Nimittam
Aprayojagam
Aprayojakam
Prakritinam
Prakritinam
Varanabhedaha
Varanabedaha
Tu
Tu
Tataha
Tataha
Kshetrikavat
Kshetrikavat
Nirmana Chittani
Nirmana Chittani
Asmidamatrat
Asmita Matrat
Pravritti Bhede
Pravritti Bhede
Prayojagam
Prayojakam
Chittamaneke.
Chittamaneke
I'm sorry. Chittam
Chittam
Anekesham.
Anekesham.
Okay, there is some spelling mistake in my book. Pravritti Bhede
Pravritti Bhede
Prayojakam
Prayojakam
Chittamekam
Chittamekam
Anekesham.
Anekesham.
Okay. तत्र
तत्र
ध्यानजं
ध्यानजम्
अनाशयम्
अनाशयम्
कर्म
कर्म
शुक्लाकृष्णं
शुक्लाकृष्णम्
योगिनः
योगिनः
त्रिविधं
त्रिविधम्
इतरेषां
इतरेषां
ततः
ततः
तद्विपाक
तद्विपाक
अनुगुणानाम्
अनुगुणानाम्
एव
एव
अभिव्यक्तिः
अभिव्यक्तिः
वासनानां
वासनानां
जातिदेश
जातिदेश
काल
काल
व्यवहित
व्यवहित
व्यवहितानामपि
व्यवहितानापि
आनन्तर्यम्
आनन्तर्यम्
स्मृतिसंस्कारयोः
स्मृतिसंस्कारयोः
एकरूपत्वात्
एकरूपत्वात्
तासाम्
तासाम्
अनादित्वम्
अनादित्वम्
च
च
आशिषो नित्यत्वात्
आशिषो नित्यत्वात्
हेतुफल
हेतुफल
आश्रय
आश्रय
आलम्बनैः
आलम्बनैः
संगृहीतत्वात्
सङ्गृहीतत्वात्
येषामभावे
येषाम
येषामभावे
येषामभावे
तदभावः
तदभावः
अतीतानागतम्
अतीतानागतम्
स्वरूपतो
स्वरूपतो
अस्ति
अस्ति
अध्वभेदात्
अध्वभेदात्
धर्माणां
धर्माणाम्
ये
ये
व्यक्तसूक्ष्माः
व्यक्तसूक्ष्माः
गुणात्मानः
गुणात्मानः
परिणाम एकत्वात्
परिणाम एकत्वात्
वस्तुतत्त्वं
वस्तुतत्वम्
वस्तुसाम्ये
वस्तुसाम्ये
चित्तभेदात्
चित्तभेदात्
तयोर्विभक्त
विभर्थ
पन्थाः
पन्थाः
न च एकचित्त
न च एकचित्त
तन्त्रं वस्तु
तन्त्रं वस्तु
तदप्रमाणकम्
तदप्रमाणकम्
तदागिं स्यात्
तदा किं स्यात्
तद्
तद्
उपराग
उपराग
अपेक्षित्वात्
अपेक्षित्वाच्च अपेक्षित्वात्
चित्तस्य
चित्तस्य
वस्तु
वस्तु
ज्ञाताज्ञातं
ज्ञाताज्ञातम्
सदा
सदा
ज्ञाता
ज्ञाता
चित्तवृत्तयः
चित्तवृत्तयः
तत्प्रभो
तत्प्रभो पुरुषस्य
अपरिणामित्वात्
अपरिणामित्वात्
न तत्
न तत् स्वाभासं
दृश्यत्वात्
दृश्यत्वात्
एकसमये च
एकसमये च
उभयान् अवधारणम् चित्तान्तरदृश्ये
चित्तान्द्रणदृश्ये
बुद्धिबुद्धेः
बुद्धिबुद्धेः
हाँ, बुद्धिबुद्धेः अतिप्रसङ्गः
अतिप्रसङ्गः
स्मृतिसङ्करश्च चितेः अप्रतिसङ्क्रमायाः
सदाकार
आपत्तौ स्वबुद्धि संवेदनम् द्रष्टुदृश्य उपरक्तम् चित्तं सर्वार्थम् तद
तद
असंख्येयवासनाभि
असंख्येयवासनाभि
चित्रमपि
चित्रमपि
परार्थं
परार्थं
संहत्यकारित्वात्
कारित्वात्
संहत्य
संहत्य
कारित्वात्
कारित्वात्
विशेषदर्शिन
विशेषदर्शिन
आत्मभाव
आत्मभाव
भावना
भावना
विनिवृत्तिः
वृत्तिः
तदा
तथा
विवेकनिम्नं
विवेकनिम्नं
कैवल्यप्राग्भारम् तदा विवेकनिम्नं
तदा विवेकनिम्नं
कैवल्य
कैवल्य
प्राग्भारम्
प्राग्भारं
चित्तं
चित्तं
तच्छिद्रेषु
तच्छिद्रेषु
ता is usual ta छिद्रेषु
छिद्रेषु
प्रत्ययान्तराणि संस्कारेभ्यः
संस्कारेभ्यः
हानमेषां क्लेशवदुक्तं प्रसङ्ख्याने अपि अकुसीदस्य
अकुसीदस्य
सर्वधा विवेकख्यातेः
धर्ममेध
समाधिः ततः
ततः
क्लेशकर्म निवृत्तिः तदा
सर्ववर्ण सर्वा वर्ण
मलापेतस्य ज्ञानस्य आनन्त्यात् ज्ञेयमल्पम् ततः कृतार्थानां Krita is normal ta. Okay. Kritarthanam Parinamakkrama Samaptirgunanam Kshanapratyogi Parinama Aparanta
निर्ग्राह्यः निर्ग्राह्यः
क्रमः पुरुषार्थ शून्यानां गुणानां प्रतिप्रसवः कैवल्यम् स्वरूपप्रतिष्ठा वा चितिशक्तिरिति. That's it. Very good. So we had to pronounce these letters, first of all, you have to practice the letters ka, kha, nga, ga, and all that. Then, and also you have to clean your tongue once in a while. So then all these letters we can make out very easily. I'm just kidding. Okay. So now let us jump into the Yoga Sutras. And so as I told you, as somebody in the classroom already asked, Swamiji, how do I get superpowers? So Patanjali said, so, and also how did the sages discover all these gravitation and magnetism, all these natural phenomenon or scientific principles using the last three limbs of Ashtanga Yoga? So it is not that like you see in the TV serials, some Rishi sitting cross-legged and suddenly, Man Mela do Bhuta and they got the idea. It's not like that. So as I told you, we have to go away from the traditional interpretation and apply it practically. So dharana, dhyana, samadhi means you are enjoying your work, you are focused on your work, and you are discovering new things in your area of work. Okay, so that is dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Like a scientist spends all his time in the laboratory and discovers scientific principles, isn't it? In the same way, you focus on your work and discover new ways of doing it, isn't it? It is as simple as a carpenter. If you want to put a nail on your wall, if you and I put it, the nail will be bent. First of all, you'll hit your finger on already, and you will break your fingernails and all that, isn't it? But a carpenter, how beautifully he does, he has a knack of it, isn't it? He just puts a and one blow and it is there, isn't it? Not like you and me. So there is a knack to do everything. How did he discover that? By dharana, dhyana, samadhi. He focused it, he enjoyed it, and he discovered it. Okay, I hope that makes some practical sense to you. Okay, so somebody asked how the excellence in the material world, how can I become a celebrity, how can I become a superstar, all those things. Some students are interested in that. So Patanjali is continuing a small discussion on superpowers or excellence in your material field before going into Kaivalya. Okay, so he says all those superpowers that we discussed in the last chapter, or excellence or scientific principles, you can discover them not only by meditation. 4 other methods are also there if you want to find it. Okay, Sutra 1. Janma Aushadhi Mantra Tapas Samadhijaha Siddhayaha. He says there are 5 ways of discovering excellence in the world or being successful in the world. 5 ways. Okay, what are they? First one is Janma. Some people are by birth they are talented. You and me, if we start singing, everybody starts running away, isn't it? But that young boy, what is his name, Rahul Vellal, or that little girl Surya Gayatri and all that, you must have heard of these people, little children, babies, how beautifully they are singing, isn't it? It's like by birth they have that advantage. Of course, we must respect the intense training and studies that they have went through, but their equipment, body and mind, is naturally inclined to excel in that, isn't it? You and I cannot do it like that, isn't it? So he says by birth some advantage is there, he says. Janma. Okay, so but you and I, we also have some advantage, isn't it? You have some unique talents in you that you have to discover and express. Okay, that those children are expressing theirs and you have to express yours. Okay, so by birth everybody has some genius in them, you have to discover it. Okay, so by birth you can have that extra talent. Also, Aushadhi, if you take some drugs you can also have some unique talents, he says. Okay, so some people, some famous writers, or music directors, they take some little alcohol or some drugs and they write masterpieces, isn't it? And become a celebrity. So you can excel in your field by taking some drugs also, he says. Patanjali is not discounting that possibility also. So he says Aushadhi means drug here. So if you take some drugs also, you can excel in you can discover new potential. Okay, so that also is one way, he says. It's not recommended because it is not sustainable. Okay, and you may get caught and all that, so don't blame me after that. Okay, so I am for samadhi, all the others you can try and find out. So Janma, Aushadhi, and mantra means something that you repeat, isn't it? When the guru gives you a mantra, you repeat that every day, isn't it? So mantra means a repeated assertion, isn't it? So when you repeat an idea to your mind, because your mind is already part of prakriti, it is dead matter. When you habituate it with some positive ideas that let my intelligence be bright and shining, Om Bhurbhusva Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naf Prachodayat, and all that. When you chant some mantras, your equipment automatically catches those ideas and functions accordingly. There also, pronunciation is very important, isn't it? Gayatri Mantra, you all know it. But I have heard most children chant Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. That Na has a visarga there, 2 dots are there. So you have to pronounce it Naf Prachodayat. If you say, don't say that, you're actually praying that, oh God, my intellect should never become bright. Na prajodayat, isn't it? So that pronunciation is very important. You have to say naf, otherwise you are doing the opposite. Okay, so that when I remembered, I am telling you. Okay, so you have to chant the mantras properly. Okay, so mantra is also repeated assertion, or mantra is also another way to boost your mind, he says, and get excel in your fields. Okay, samadhi, janma, aushadhi, mantra, and tapa. Of course, tapa means hard work. You know, you must be knowing all these sports stars and Olympic medalists. They wake up at 2:33 in the morning and eat raw eggs and go for running and jumping and all that. All of that is tapas. When you and I are comfortably under the blanket in this cold weather, they are running around and working hard, isn't it? So by hard work also you can develop excellence, isn't it? So all mainly all the celebrities and people, they have all hard work behind their success, isn't it? As somebody said, excellence, success is the tribute that life pays to you for your excellence. Hmm. So when you excel in your hard work, then life pays tribute, respect to you by giving you material success. Okay, so tapaha is a one method of getting superpowers. When I say superpowers, excellence in your field. Okay, and of course the last one, samadhijaha. Samadhi means our meditation, dharana, dhyana, and all that. So 5 techniques to excel in the material world. Okay, these are the ways to get siddhis. Siddhaya, janma, aushadhi, mantra, tabas, samadhijaha. Ja means birth, you know. So these are the 5 ways to give birth to excellence or superpowers. These are the 5 ways to get siddhayaha. Okay, so that is very interesting. So, as somebody asked the other day, how are these people becoming legends in their areas of field, isn't it? Like Sachin Tendulkar or PT Usha or Michael Jackson or Bruce Lee or Virat Kohli or whoever it is, your legend. How are they becoming legendary? They were also born as boys and girls to ordinary parents. You must see their childhood photographs, little babies, and they also had only 24 hours of time, but they became legends. I am sitting here miserable, isn't it? How did they advance like that? So how are legends made? That is the second theme of the second sutra. What is the second sutra? Jatyantara parinamaha prakritya purat. Okay, so we are discussing superpowers. So to become experts in superpowers, you must watch some superhero movies also. Okay, so I hope you watch them. So my favorite is Batman Begins. Okay, and there is a very interesting quotation in that movie. It says the guru of that main student or the hero says, if you can make yourself more than just a man, and if you can devote yourself to an ideal, and if the others can stop you, then you become something else entirely. What is that? You become a legend, he says. Okay, in the same way, when you devote all your attention to your ideal or your area of expertise and you have no other distractions, then you truly become a legend in that. Okay, so that is what Patanjali is saying. We all had 24 hours and one body and one mind. But how did these legends excel above all of us? He says, Jatyantara parinamaha prakritya pura. That is, an ordinary person becomes extraordinary when he qualifies certain conditions. Okay, so when a legend, when what is his daily routine? He takes 1,000 surya namaskar every morning. I'm just putting some masala into it. He does 1,000 surya namaskar and 10,000 push-ups and all that. You and I don't do that, isn't it? So that is a legendary person or a superhuman person. His average daily routine is much below than all of us, isn't it? So somewhere through that journey, he or she practiced so much that the conditions uh, required to become legendary, he exceeded, and then he became a legend, he says. I'm just putting it in a visual format. His daily practice exceeded the requirement to become an expert in that. Okay, that is what we all are doing, isn't it? When we are studying and writing the examination, if we are studied enough, then we clear the examination, isn't it? So, Jatyantara Parinamaha, a person goes from ordinary to another extraordinary condition. Jati means your current situation, and antara means change. Parinama is moving into that situation, new situation. How does that happen? Prakritya pura. The purana means fulfill certain conditions. Okay, so when you fulfill certain conditions through your practice, you become a legend, he says. Like taking 10,000 push-ups and all that, whatever it is your area of practice. So when you fulfill those conditions necessary for an expert, then you become a legend, as they say. Okay, so moving from ordinary to extraordinary, all you have to do is practice and fulfill those conditions required for a higher status of existence. Okay. Okay, so okay, Swamiji. So, but can I do it? Can I become a legend? Of course, you can become a legend. That is why when I look at you, I don't know which all celebrities are sitting in the classroom. You know, tomorrow you may become a legend. So, because what is the difference between a legend and an ordinary person? Everybody has the same body, 24 hours of time, and everything is same, isn't it? So we don't know who all are going to be legends tomorrow. He says the third sutra, the main idea of the third sutra is that whatever is required, whatever power is needed for you to become legendary in your area of expertise, that you already have. How do you say? Why do you say that? Because everything is prakriti, isn't it? The body is prakriti, mind is prakriti, and prakriti is everywhere, isn't it? So all those successful people also have one body, one mind, and 24 hours of time, isn't it? So we all have the same conditions. How we utilize it is different, isn't it? So he says, so then how did he become a legend or she become a legend? He or she unlocked those uh, expertise or that hidden potential in him or her. He unlocked it. He says, Nimittam aprayojagam prakritinam varana tu tataha kshetrigavat. He says, becoming a legend or expert in your area is like farmer. You know, I hope you have seen a farming land. You know, these square plots will be there. I hope you know that. And does the farmer take a bucket and pour water to all the plants in the 10 acres or 100 acres of land? No. He has divided those land into square plots, and probably some inclination will be there. One will be slightly high, and then like that, isn't it? And on the top, the water source will be there. And what will he do? That water source will have a valve or something something to block the water, and he just takes the valve and water will flow down, isn't it? He doesn't take a bucket and pour everything. In the same way, all those superpowers, all that excellence, uh, hidden potential is already sitting there. Why do you say that? Because everything is prakriti. So if these legends have that potential in them, I also have it because I am also made of the same prakriti. So how do I unlock it? Only you have to remove that which is causing the uh, that potential to flow into kinetic energy, he says. So what is the hindrance right now? When legends wake up at 4 o'clock, I am still under the blanket. I am comfortably snoring away, isn't it? So one difficulty is that our habit is slightly different from the habit of the legend or these legendary people. So we have certain habitual difficulties. Our habit is to sleep till 6 o'clock. So that is a difficulty. Okay, so if you remove that, you slowly that potential will start to flow into you. You don't have to do anything because prakriti or the universe already has that potential. Only you have to make yourself available and it will express through you, he says. I hope that makes some sense to you. Okay, he says, Varana Bhedaha tu Kshetrigavad. Kshetriga means a farmer. Kshetra means a farmland. Okay, so Kshetriga is a person who works in a farmer. So, like a farmer, Kshetrigavad, Varana Bhedaha tu. All you have to do is Varana means that barrier, you know, that which covers. All you have to do is take out the barrier and nature or the world will express its full potential through you, he says. Okay, so all you have to do is your old dastardly habits that you have to remove, and the world will bless you with the infinite potential, he says. Nimittam aprayojagam, he says. So nimitta means the cause. What is the cause of becoming a legend or becoming excelling in your field? aprayojagam, because you are not aprayojagam prakritinam, you are not utilizing your potential or prakriti properly. Okay, so how do I utilize it? Only remove the problematic areas. Just remove the valve and the water will flow, he says. In the same way, only you have to remove your bad habits and immediately excellence will flow through you, he says. I hope that makes sense to you. So, as Swami Vivekananda has said, all power is within you. That is the message of this third sutra. All power that you want to express, that is already in you, because everywhere, everyone is Prakriti only. So, what you want to express is already in you. You only have to break the barrier. Okay, your old habits and memories. That is where practical application of Swarupa comes. I told you, you have to believe in yourself, like that boy in the interview, and just express your potential and it will come through, he says. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so so you have to this Patanjali Yoga Sutra is not a theoretical study for us. It is something that is very practical. So I ask you, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Huh? So this is a very exciting journey. You know, you have to apply this Patanjali Yoga Sutra in your daily life to discover something new every day. You have to learn something new every day. Today I learned how to what is that? How not to break anything. That also is a learning, isn't it? Today I understood how to sleep during the day. I'm just making fun of you, because so then you discover that your nighttime sleep is ruined. So today I learned that I should not sleep during the day. At least something you have to learn every day, isn't it? So he says, learn something every day. A spiritual person is a continuous learner, he says. Okay, so all through new lessons you have to slowly remove that black dirt that is sitting and blocking that infinite potential to blast into the world. So you have to discover your potential and express it through your unique way. I am now blabbering about Patanjali Yoga Sutra. That is because that is my unique talent. You have to discover your unique talent. Okay, so you have to discover your area of expertise and express your potential through it, he says. So okay, so okay, so how do you make a masterpiece, or how do you become a legend? Everybody has a same prakriti, he said. So what he's trying to say is, Vyasa in his bhashya, in his commentary, he says, you see, consider a stone, a big piece of stone, or marble, or something, let us say. You see, that piece of stone has all the potential statues, masterpiece statues in the world in it, isn't it? Everybody makes a statue from that ugly piece of stone, but you and I cannot make it. But when a efficient sculpture, he comes there and he just chips off the unnecessary things, and the masterpiece comes out of it, isn't it? Shiva, Krishna, Jesus, or what is that? Michelangelo and what is that? Da Vinci. Everything is there in that ugly piece of stone. Only you have to chip away the unnecessary things, isn't it? In the same way, your body, your mind, everything has that masterpiece. All those legends are sleeping in you, but you have no time. You are snoring away at 4 o'clock. So you have to just wake up and unlock it, he says. I hope that message is clear to you. Okay. Okay. So only you have to discard the unnecessary, and the bright future will blast through you, he says. That is the message of this sutra. All power is within you and you have to only unlock it, as Vivekananda said. That is the message of the third sutra. I'm repeating it for your, for you to, imprint it in your brain. Okay. Okay, so now fourth sutra, he says, Nirmana Chittani Asmita Matrat. This is also very interesting sutra. So he says, we have certain experiences, isn't it? I hope all of you have, you all must be 25 or 30 or something. So you must have lived all these years, and you have certain experiences, isn't it? Some rascals ignored you, some people blamed you, some people harassed you, and some people praised you. And all those stories are, all those narratives, your unique experiences are sitting there in your brain. Patanjali says you have to make use of it. So he says there is a story that when one girl who wanted to take revenge on people who hurt her, and throughout her life she repeats all those people's names who hurt her, and she will every day before going to bed she chants all the people's names who she hates. so that that memory becomes a strong motivation to improve her life, isn't it? In the same way, all those unique experiences that you and I have gone through, you have to utilize it to discover who you really are, he says. He says, Nirmana Chittani Asmita Matrat. Asmita is, as we saw in the second chapter, is your unique story or your unique life, isn't it? So you identify with the body and mind, and you have a certain collective experiences that you have. That is your asmita, isn't it? That is what you call as I am, isn't it? Your unique story. So you have to, based on that unique story or narrative that you have, asmita matrat, you have to design your future, he says. All those experiences you have to remember, recollect, and design the excellence that you want. Hmm. So, as somebody said, you have to build your tower based on the bricks that others throw at you. Okay, so people will hurt you, but it is a good thing, because based on that hurt, you can learn the lesson, you can be free and not depend on them and rise, he says. So he says, Nirmana Chittani means all that excellence or that future narrative that you want to build, that depends on your asmita, he says. You have to integrate your past, you have to integrate your isolation, your pain, and your rejection, and all those uh, unique experiences uh, into your personality, and then build your future. So we are not going to blame the past, or like the traditional interpretation, because somebody hurt me, my girlfriend broke up with me, so I am going to become a swami. No, no, that is not how we are going to do it. We are going to discover our happiness through the unique experiences that we went through. Because I went through all that, I am now strong and capable of finding out my unique experiences. So that is the practical application of what we discuss as Prakriti and Purusha and all that. I hope that makes sense to you. When I say Prakriti, Purusha, nothing makes sense to you, isn't it? This is how you apply it. You have Nirmana Chittani Asmita Matrat. All those unique uh, experiences that you want to build, your dreams should be based on your asmita, your unique narrative. Okay, I hope that is clear to you. Okay, so that is the message of the fourth sutra. So a lot of spiritual messages Patanjali is giving in this chapter. I hope you respect that and you are able to appreciate it. So now Sutra 5 says, Pravritta bhede prayojagam chittamekam anekesham. Okay. So as we discussed before, uh, whatever you want to build depends on your self image, isn't it? Right now my image is, I am a miserable person, I need to do this and that, but I'm not able to, my parents are not supporting me, or my friends are all teasing me and all that. All these experiences are there, but you have to believe in yourself and you have to go forward, he says. So your self image about yourself, okay, that determines the quality of your thoughts and the quality of your effort that you're going to make towards building your dreams. I, does that make sense to you? So that is why Patanjali is in the first sloka itself, he said, so rupe avasthanam, focus on your swarupa. You are free, you are birthless, you are deathless, and you are immortal atma. When your self image is that I am free, then you can easily glide through all the excellence and success that you want. So self image is the primary problem. I hope you agree with that. So right now my self image is bad, so that is why I am miserable. I don't want to get up in the morning. So but when you believe that you are atma, that anything is possible for you, then you want to get up in the morning and brush your teeth and start your workout and all that. So self image is very important, he says. All your intentions are rooted in your self image. That is the message of the fifth sutra. Pravritti bhede prayojagam chittamegam anekesham. So pravritti bhede means all those diverse uh, superpowers or excellence that you want to build, it all depends on prayojagam, depends on chittam egam, that fundamental you, that unique beautiful story that you have, that has to be utilized. That will control all your other stories, he said. You will become a successful orator, you will overcome your stage fright, you will become a dancing yogi, whatever you want you can build, but it depends on you recognizing your unique beautiful story. These are all my interpretation. I'm putting masala into Yoga Sutra and trying to interpret it for you. Traditional interpretations may be something else, but I hope it is digestible to you. And not only that, one more message that is conveyed in this fifth sutra is that when you build your future, when you excel in your area of expertise, don't forget your real nature. What is your real nature? Nitya, Shuchi, Sukha, Atma, isn't it? That you must not forget. You see, when we excel in our field, we sometimes forget. When we work so much, we forget ourselves. That is how you become a workaholic. You know, if I don't finish my work, I am miserable, or my boss will scold me in front of everybody. So I have to work and I have to forget, switch off the phone and ignore my parents and family members, and I work. Finally, boss will give the reward to somebody else, and then you're miserable, isn't it? So, the habit created, but no result. You became a workaholic for no result. So, you must not forget yourself. Your aim is to be happy and celebrating your prakriti. Hmm. Don't forget that. That is also one message in this sutra. Chittamegam anekesham. That ega chitta, that your unique narrative. Don't forget it, and then build your future. He says there was a lady in Travancore in Kerala, if you may know, in a few hundred years ago, the all our states were ruled by kings, isn't it? Like Karnataka, Kerala was also ruled by kings, and the kings used to have all these magic shows and dramas and all that for entertainment because that time TV was not there. So there was this lady in Travancore who was a drama artist, brilliant artist, young lady, but she was so poor and so miserable in her real life that uh, only in the drama stage she plays the role of a queen. Okay, she plays the role of a Travancore queen, so she enjoys it so much that it so happened in the only in the stage she gets to wear all these beautiful clothes, otherwise she's in rags, isn't it? So eventually she became so obsessed with the character that she forgot her real identity, and through 24 hours she never puts the costume down. And she went mad. So all the time she's wearing the costume, and she calls everybody, come here and all that. So everybody sympathized with that poor girl. Because of poverty, she became mad. So that we should not happen to us. All the characters that we are playing in our life. You may be a daughter, you may be a son, you may be a grandson, you may be an employee, you may be a boss. All those are roles that we are playing in those particular areas. We should not bring that into other areas. When you come home, you should be a husband or wife or child or something. You should not become a boss there. When you become a boss there, your wife will kick you out, isn't it? So you must be able to play these different prakritis, standing in your own unique freedom. That is very important. When you mix roles, you become a misfit in your area and you become hated and miserable. Okay, so your this freedom, this kaivalya that we are talking about, is the ability to play different roles according to the context, isn't it? Here I am a teacher, but when my Guruji comes, I will be a humble servant, isn't it? In the same way, you also have to play different roles. And how do I play those roles? Because I know who I am and I can play. Otherwise, you become that mad lady in the drama, isn't it? You bring the boss's behavior into the family and get kicked out, isn't it? So you have to be able to distinguish between what are the different roles I have to play in life, and you have to play them. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. So Amaji, but we are discussing Kaivalya, isn't it? We want to be spiritually free, isn't it? I hope you're awake. Yeah. And so, if you want to play all these roles, Swamiji, I will become again bound in Prakriti and I will become miserable again. Somehow with much yoga and Surya Namaskara, I walked out of that Prakriti and became free, liberated. Now, if I again jump into the world, will I not become miserable again? No, he says. He says, Tatra, sixth sutra, Dhyanajam Anashayam, he says. Tatra means when you engage with the world, dhyanajam anashayam. That is, when you work, you create certain habits, isn't it? So ashayam means habits in Yoga Sutras. Okay, ashayam means samskara or habits. So when you work in the world, you will develop habits, isn't it? You may develop good handwriting, bad handwriting, all that. So you will develop habits. But so Swamiji, will not I become again a creature of habit, again miserable? No, he says. Why is that? Because now you're operating from the meditative field. Dhyanajam anashayam. When you are operating from the self-image created out of meditation, then all the samskaras and habits you can manage, he says. Dhyana, because a meditative person doesn't create habits, because he is operating from the self-image that I am Atma, I am free. All these other roles, boss, son, daughter, everything I'm playing in the world of Prakriti, but I am Nitya Shuchi Sukha Atma. So Tatra Dhyanajam Anashayam. Dhyanajam means understanding born out of meditation, clarity about oneself born out of meditation. So when I am operating in a meditative mode, when I remember who I am and then act in the drama, then the drama doesn't become a problem for you, isn't it? So when you know that you are, when you know that you are who you are, then you can play. When the baby, when your little girl or boy, when your son or daughter, she went to school and she didn't go there, she went to movies, and you got the CCTV footage from the school department. The rascals are always behind you, isn't it? So they send the admission card to you by SMS, and your child comes home and says, Mama, today was first period was maths, then science, and then social studies. And then you, because you know the truth, you will smile, isn't it? Then what happened? Then teacher scolded me. Then I said the answer. The lie is gone like that. Then you, the more lies she says, the more happier you are, isn't it? Because you know the fundamental truth, isn't it? In the same way, when you know the truth, you can easily play all these roles, he says. So tatra dhyanajam manashem. The fundamental is to be meditative and know who you are. Then you can play all these roles, and then finally give a slap to the little girl for lying, isn't it? So if that is necessary, or otherwise you can appreciate her creativity also. That is up to you. But that freedom comes when you know the truth. In the same way, you have to meditate that Nitya Shuji Sukha Atma Aham, and then I am that free immortal being. Then you can play all these roles, he says. So I would, our time is exceeding, so I'll stop here. Kaivalyapada, all this, I hope whatever we discussed is interesting to you. It applies to your daily life. So Kaivalya is not something sitting in the Himalayas. It is something here and now. Okay. So a lot of interesting ideas are coming there in the Kaivalyapada. So I hope we can discuss them in the future classes also. So I will wind up here. If you have any questions, you can raise them. You have a few minutes to do that. I hand over to Prasad. Hari Om.